Hi everyone, this is Joy with Create It with Joy, and I am so excited that today's video is part of an encouragement card hop. I am just so excited. So today's card is made using some Altenew products, some Build-A-Flower product. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of this flower, but I will have it in the description below. I'm also going to be using some Simon Says stamp products to make this really super cute encouragement card. So to start off, I am using Simon Says stamp, the Waves 6x6 cling stamp. And instead of using it horizontally, I'm going to be using it vertically. I'm just adding a little bit of adhesive and kind of taking some of the stick off with my finger so my card panel can just sit in the middle of my MISTI. I'm going to be prepping this with my anti-static tool. And then I'll be using clear embossing ink from Simon Says Stamp, but any clear embossing ink would work. And I'm going to ink that up really good. And I am someone who inks the heck out of my stamps, so I just want to make sure I get a really good impression. But if you don't, this is what is so great about the MISTI. So I'm going to ink that up and get my card panel nice and embossed. And this is an A2 sized card panel, but I will trim it down about 1/4 of an inch on each side when I am finished. So I'm going to be using some Ultra Fine Antique Gold Embossing Powder from Simon Says Stamp. And I'm going to ink up this whole stamped image. And I really do love this stamp from Simon Says Stamp. Whether you're using it vertically or horizontally, it's a really cool looking stamp. I'm using my tool-in-one to hold my paper down on my glass media mat. This is something I like to do when I've got a full background that I need to heat emboss. I made sure that my heat embossing tool was nice and hot, and then of course watching this embossing powder melt is like magic, and that is all done. So now we're going to start on these Build-A-Flowers, and this Build-A-Flower, they're labeled like A1, A2, A3 for your flowers and for the leaves, so you know which one goes with which. So I'm going to start with the first one, and I've got Altenew's Tea Party ink set, the mini cubes you can see right there. And I love this because it takes all of the guesswork of trying to match up inks out of the question. So I'm going to start with the lightest color in the Tea Party ink set. And I'm going to ink up the first flower, and this is like the solid based flower. I'm going to ink it up really good. This is a dye ink, and so when you stamp it, it'll absorb more into the paper. As you can see, it's a little bit splotchy. You could ink it again if you wanted to, but you can also, like I said, let it absorb into the paper. Now I'm going to go on with the next stamp in their set. And I'm going to line that up, and I'm also going to start with the next darkest ink. And I'm going to ink that up and press that down. And on the back of their stamp sets, it shows where you line up each stamp to the next one in line, if that makes sense. So giving that some good pressure, but now you can already see there is some depth and dimension to this flower. Now I'm going to go to the third one, line that up, and go to the third ink. And on this flower, there is 4 steps to the flower and 3 steps to the leaves. And I'm going to do 2 of these flowers. I'm only going to show you one, obviously, because it's going to be the same the whole time. So the third flower stamp and the third ink, and I will ink that up. Look at that. It is turning out so pretty. These look so lifelike when you're done. It's so amazing. I can't even get over it. And for this fourth one, I stamped it twice because I wanted it to even be have more depth, have this ink color to be a little bit darker. So again, that's what's so wonderful about a stamp positioning tool, is that everything is already lined up. So here's the very last color. And you can see it there. It looks great, but I just felt like I thought about it for a second, and I looked at it and I thought, well, I think I might need to do it again. So I want it a little bit darker. So you'll see here, once I lay this color down, you'll see the difference. There we go. And I think that turned out perfect. So now for the leaves, I'm just going to show you there's two separate leaves in this set. And this, I forgot to write down which color this was. I will have it in my description. This is Altenew, one of their green sets, but I will get the name for that. I apologize. So I'm starting with the lightest color. Like I said, there's only 3 stamps for the leaves. So you could start with the lightest, you could start with the second lightest. So I think kind of you have a little more option there as far as what you like. So I'm going to line up the second step here. And I was kind of just eyeballing this, and I don't even think I was looking at the back of the stamp set to see where and how these things line up. So we're just going to run through that. Like I said at the beginning, this is an encouragement card hop. I am so excited. This is my very first any kind of hop to be a part of. Super excited. I love encouragement, anythings. I'm a natural encourager. It's definitely a gift that God has blessed me with. And I just think everybody needs encouragement pretty much on a daily basis. And so again, I'm just so excited to be a part of this. So very thankful. And I hope you guys are enjoying this video and all the videos, the blogs, the cards, everything that's involved in this hop. I hope you guys are enjoying. So now you can see I'm looking at the back of that paper because I was feeling a little bit confused on this third, where the third stamp went. This is the first time I've used this stamp set. So I got those lined up and used the third darkest ink. And it just gives it a nice little detail. Then I'm going to use the coordinating dies and cut those out. So I did 2 flowers and a ton of leaves. So now I'm using Distress Oxide ink in Peacock Feathers. I was going to also use Cracked Pistachio, but I changed my mind. I am just smushing that down onto my Tim Holtz glass media mat. I spritzed a little bit of water onto that, and I'm using a fine detail waterbrush pen. You could just use any kind of paintbrush and that works. So I sped this up pretty quick, but what I'm doing is just alternating in these lines. Every other line I'm coloring in with the peacock feathers like a watercolor. I'm starting pretty dark at the top and kind of fading out towards the bottom. I was going to fill in every other line with peacock feathers and then the other lines with Cracked Pistachio, but when I was done with the peacock feathers, I really liked how it looked. The colors that I chose for this card, it just felt summery to me, and that's what I wanted to have. I kind of wanted to have this bright, light, airy, but summery kind of feel. So I'm just going to color in all of these lines. And I really like Distress Oxide inks for a quick watercolor type look. And so the lighter, when I go down lighter, I just add a little bit more water. When I want it darker, just a little bit more concentration of the ink. Super simple, super easy, pretty much fail-proof. You can't mess this up. Like I said, any kind of brush would work. And any color for this would work. I think this would be fun, filling in these lines for a different card in rainbow order. I think that would be super fun for a birthday card. But I'm lining up my flowers because I want to see how far down I want the dark to go, because I do want to see some of the really dark and then fading that out. And starting on the left-hand side of the card, I went down further with the blue color than on the right side of the card. Just a personal preference. No real reason why. That's just kind of how I liked it. So I'm adding a little bit more dark to the top. We're all done cleaning up, and let's move on. So now I am going to be using some sentiments. Now I did use the word delightful from this Build a Flower stamp set, and I'm going to be embossing that in the gold embossing powder. So I prepped my paper the same way I did before. I put so much anti-static tool that I couldn't see if my ink had actually inked up the paper. But I'm going to ink that up, emboss that, and I had even though I used all that anti-static tool, I still had little bits of gold everywhere. So I'm just using a paintbrush to clean that off, and I'm going to heat that up. I'm going to trim that out with my paper trimmer. And so now I have taken some sentiments from Simon Says Stamp Tiny Words and Simon Says Stamp Beautiful Day. And the first one says, "You are just," and I'm inking that up with the peacock feathers, the Distress Oxide ink peacock feathers. I wanted to keep all the colors exactly the same. I did not want to introduce any new colors. So then I wanted a ton of words to encourage somebody. So Simon Says Stamp Tiny Words stamp set, lots of things. I trimmed down lots of sentiments. So the whole card says, "You are just amazing, delightful, one of a kind, beautiful, awesome." So I'm just going to ink all of these up, and what I did was used the Tea Party ink, and I used for each sentiment each color, if that makes sense. So we've got the peacock feathers, and then we've got all 4 colors from the Tea Party stamp set. I felt pretty organized on this card, you guys. So then I stamped them all, trimmed them all down into these tiny sentiments, and then we're going to put the card together. So I trimmed down my card panel, like I said, about 1/4 of an inch off of each side, attached that to a white A2 size card base. And then I'm going to lay down one of the flowers flat to the card, and the other flower I will have popped up. I'm going to have them trim off of the card a little bit, and we'll trim off any excess. I wanted to have a lot of the background panel to be shown, even with these flowers, because we have so many sentiments to be on there, and I just didn't want to hide anything. So popping that up with some foam tape, and then we're going to tuck in the leaves in and around everywhere. All of those are flat, none of those are popped up with foam tape. And I will trim off any excess. If I need to trim off any of them to tuck in and around, that works just fine. Super quick, super easy. This card really came together quite easy, and I was really glad. You know, sometimes you have a thought in your head of how you want a card to go, and as you start to put it together, it doesn't go as well, and this card actually turned out better than I had thought, so I was really super thankful for that. So trimming off everything around the edge, and then we're going to lay down all the sentiments. So I'm going to tuck in the word delightful underneath one of the leaves, and this is going to be flat, and then some of the other ones will be popped up on foam tape and some of them will not be. So "You are just" will be popped up on foam tape on part of it, and then the other part will just have a little bit of tape runner, and stick that across the flowers. And then the next thing will say "amazing," and I like how tiny. I think that's what I really love about the Tiny Words stamp set, because they are so tiny and you can fit them in anywhere. You can have a huge, beautiful sentiment that's bold, like the word delightful, and then you can fit in all these other little ones. So I'm just going to lay down some of these and kind of see where I want them to be and adhere those down once I get the look that I want. So I started with the lightest color at the top and worked my way down to the darkest color of the stamped sentiments from the Altenew's Tea Party ink stamp set. So this one will have a little bit of foam tape. And then last one, we'll just stick down with some tape runner. You could use liquid glue as well, and that would work just as fine. Okay, the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of liquid pearls. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. I'm stamping on the inside of my card. And it says "Stay Strong" on the inside. Normally I don't stamp things on the inside of my card right away. I kind of wait for a specific person or a specific occasion. So here's the liquid pearls in gold pearl. I'm just going to add a few drops of this in and around, not too many, but it just needed a few more little doodads, a little more embellishing, and that looks great. There, that card is done. It looks beautiful. I love all the encouraging sentiments on this card. I hope that, you know, it makes someone feel really awesome. I hope this encourages you guys. So thank you so much, you guys, for stopping by and being a part of this wonderful card hop. Keep hopping along. I appreciate all of your support. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you've seen, please thumbs up, subscribe, share. I do have some affiliate links below. It costs you nothing, but it does help me. Thank you guys, and I'll see you soon.